Johnny and Chrissy. They're hard-working, virtuous citizens. We're like a modern-day monastery. A monastery with a kitchen and a macrame plant. Travers raised an eyebrow. Mr. Tripper, this is the 70s, but the board still has certain standards. We don't fund dens of iniquity. It's not a den. It's a sanctuary. Jack protested. I sleep on the couch. Well, mostly. It's a very long couch. The meeting ended with Travers promising to review the file, which Jack knew was code for waiting for the paperwork to turn into dust. He walked out of the office feeling like he had just performed a one-man play to a theater full of statues. Chapter 12, The Garage Sale Gamble. If the loan fails, we sell, Jack declared that evening, gesturing to the clutter in the living room. A garage sale. We'll call it the Great Apartment 201 Clearance. We don't have a garage. Jack, Chrissy reminded him for the third time. And Roper doesn't let anyone use the sidewalk. We'll have a stairwell sale. Or a balcony bazaar. Jack was pacing again, the frantic energy of the desperate. Look at this stuff. Johnny, you have 3 identical flower vases. Chrissy, you have a collection of shoes that could clothe a small army. And I have this very expensive set of French knives I can't actually use yet. You are not selling your knives, Jack, Johnny said firmly. How else are you going to become a chef and pay us back for the 3 months of rent you owe us? The sale lasted exactly 45 minutes before Stanley Roper appeared at the top of the stairs. What is this? A flea market. You trying to attract a lower class of people to my building? We're just lightening our load, Mr. Roper, Jack said, trying to sell Stanley a slightly chipped ceramic owl. Only $2. It looks just like you. $2 for an owl with a broken beak. I've got enough birds in this building already, Stanley grumbled. Pack it up, Tripper, or I'll start charging you a business license fee on top of the rent. The roommates retreated back into the apartment, defeated. They sat among their vases, shoes, and ceramic owls, the reality of their situation settling in. Maybe I could take that part-time job at the pizza place, Jack suggested quietly, and give up your study time. Jonna shook her head. We'll figure it out, Jack. We always do. Chapter 13, The Silent Treatment. The stress of the month finally took its toll in the form of the silent treatment. It started with a disagreement over who had used the last of the milk and evolved into a cold war of gestures and pointed glares. John wouldn't speak to Jack. Jack wouldn't speak to Chrissy. Chrissy, who hated silence more than anything, tried to mediate with Mime, which only made things worse. If you're trying to say I'm sorry, your hand movements look more like you're trying to fly a plane, Jack snapped, breaking his vow of silence. I wasn't saying sorry. I was saying the milk was in the back of the fridge the whole time. Chrissy yelled back. They stood in the kitchen, 3 people who lived in a space the size of a showbox, suddenly realizing that the silence was much heavier than any argument. "I bought the milk back," Jack admitted, pulling a carton from behind his back. I was grumpy because of Travers. And I was grumpy because Mr. Henderson sent his cacti back." John aside. They sat at the table, the silent treatment dissolving into a fit of weary laughter. In a household of three, there were always three sides to every story, and usually all three were slightly ridiculous. Chapter 15, Zen and the Art of Apartment Maintenance. The new month began with a strange transformation in apartment 201. Chrissy had recently discovered a book titled Zen and the Cosmic Aura, and she was determined to bring spiritual harmony to their cramped living quarters. "I'm aligning the energy, Jack," Chrissy said, placing a single incense stick in a potato on the coffee table. "The book says that our apartment is spiritually constipated." Jack, who was trying to read a textbook on sauce emulsification, looked up. "I think the plumbing in 100 for is the only thing constipated in this building." "Chrissy, why is there a potato on the table?" "It's an organic anchor," she explained seriously. "Now, close your eyes and breathe in the cosmic dust." Jonna walked in, dropping her floral delivery bag. "Why does it smell like a burnt campfire and old vegetables in here?" "Harmony, Jonna. We're achieving harmony." Chrissy beamed. The harmony lasted until the following morning, when Jack attempted to cook a delicate cheese souffle while Chrissy was performing auric cleanses with a feather duster. The vibration of her enthusiastic dusting sent a shockwave through the kitchen floor, causing the souffle to collapse into a sad, yellow puddle. "My Zen just left the building," Jack groaned, staring at the oven. "And it took my souffle with it." Chapter 16, The Leisure Suit Larceny. Disaster struck on a Saturday evening when Jack had a date with a girl he had met at the Technical Institute, a sophisticated French student named Monique, who had an appetite for high fashion. Jack, whose wardrobe consisted mostly of jeans and t-shirts with sauce stains, realized he had nothing European enough to wear. "I need a blazer, Jeanne. Something with flair," Jack pleaded. "The only thing you have with flair is that tie with the dancing lobsters, Jack," Jonna reminded him. In a moment of pure desperation, Jack turned to the one person he knew with a collection of vintage formal wear, Stanley Roper. While Stanley was busy arguing with a parakeet downstairs, Jack managed to borrow a plaid, polyester leisure suit from the Roper's hall closet. "It's bold," Chrissy remarked as Jack modeled the suit. The plaid was a mix of mustard yellow, avocado green, and a brown that looked suspiciously like gravy. "It's a classic," Jack insisted, checking his reflection. "Monique will think I'm a local fashion icon." The date at the Beagle started well enough, but polyester and California heat are a dangerous combination. As Monique began describing the boutiques of Paris, Jack began to sweat. The suit, seemingly sentient, began to emit a faint smell of mothballs and Stanley's favorite brand of cologne. To make matters worse, Stanley and Helen Lockton. Jack spent the rest of the night ducking behind pillars and menu boards, looking like a plaid ninja. "Is that my suit?"